I guess for a Leigh fan, a Leigh player, a Leigh head coach, it doesn't get much better than last Friday night. Just with a few days to reflect on it now, how special was that?
Yeah, really special. I was only talking to some of the staff during the week, and when we first came back up into Super League, it's obviously a goal of the clubs to beat our local rivals, and we hadn't done that for a couple of years. So to register our first win in round one this year against them was special with that 1-0 victory in overtime and in extra time. So to beat them twice now in the same year is incredible for the club. And it is a good feeling for me as a coach, because it shows how much we've progressed, but also I can't imagine how our fans must feel, obviously getting it in the neck for the last couple of years and now having the opportunity to have a little bit of a voice back is good for them, and more importantly good for us as a club and team in regards to the ladder and a real critical win at this time of the season.
Yeah, it was a sellout crowd as well, your biggest ever in Super League. You've just beaten the champions. I mean, how different a club does Leigh feel, Adrian, to the one that you took over as head coach?
Yeah, I guess if you use the analogy like your own children, if you've got children, they get to 18, you think where's that all gone? And whilst you're living every day with it, you don't see the improvement as much as maybe people outside of the bubble. But I think, since arriving here, we only had 6 players, and what we've done collectively as a group on the field in that 80-minute period has certainly set the club up to be successful in the sense of progression. Every year we've climbed up the ladder that little bit, winning the Challenge Cup in 23. It's certainly put down some markers for us and set the standards as a group high. What we're doing off the field now with Derek and Jukesy and the board has been incredible. I don't know if any other club has had as big a growth off the field. Maybe Hull KR in a similar position, but for us to start selling out this stadium and it was the first time on the weekend where I came out before the players and sat down before all the fireworks started, and I'd not experienced that before, and sat down there and just saw all of that happen and just thought what an incredible event it is now at Leigh Sports Village to be a part of. And it's something for our fans to really appreciate, I guess, because we're going through a golden time in that sense. Obviously, we want to keep improving as a club and team in regards to the ladder, and so it's just great to be a part of this journey at the moment, and we've just got to stop and smell the roses on the way and just make sure that we enjoy it and not get to the end and think, ooh, what just happened over that last 3-4 years. So, but we're improving every week, every year, and we're heading in the right direction.
Yeah, you talk about the top 6 and the top 2 there. Both of the top 2 beaten last week. Does that show maybe that the competition is a little bit closer than people have been saying?
I think they've been very dominant for the last 2 years, probably, both those clubs. So any time that they get beat, it's exciting for everyone. And I think it's good for rugby league, to be honest with you, and I think it just shows how close that top 6 is. If there's 1 or 2 more losses to that top 2, it'll be a scramble towards the finish line. And that's what we're hoping for, So, it's going to be a really difficult game this weekend, but I think, at least we're home. We've been away from home for the last 6 weeks previously to Wigan, and it's been a really difficult challenge there. So now we're back home. We certainly want to play for our fans who have been loyal to us and who have travelled right across all of the UK and to France. We had around 3,000 plus there in France, which is an incredible, commitment from our fans. So we want to give something back to them with these home games that are left in the season.
I know you spoke about David Armstrong on Friday, but I just wondered, how's he doing? Have you and the other players been able to get around him this week?
Yeah, he's one of those guys that just goes about his business really, but it's important that we've had conversations and he's in a good place. He understands the situation and everyone does, and we'll take care of him in every way we possibly can.
Just in terms of losing him for so long, will you look to bring another body into help?
Probably not at this stage. We've got both Bailey Hodgson and also Gaz O'Brien on that right side that could potentially play fullback. You've got Darnell McIntosh that can play fullback at a pinch as well. You've got Keenan Brand. So we've got some great cover there in the outside backs. Davey Armstrong goes down, who's nominated as Player of the Month, and Bailey Hodgson steps in and gets man of the match. And and probably could have scored or should have scored 2 tries if the pass had gone to him the right way of the flow of the game. So, and then you bring on Charnley to replace Darnell McIntosh, and Charnley plays one of his best games of the year. So we're blessed with having those young, most of them young or outside backs that are as classy as the starting players. So, I'm really happy about that.
Thanks a lot, Adrian.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Hi, Alan, I hope you're well.
Hey Ben, very well, thanks.
Just talk to me a bit about Bailey then, Bailey Hodgson. His rise this year has been quite phenomenal, hasn't it? Talk to me about his progression since joining the club to now.
Obviously, we ID'd him last year at Newcastle, and being a local English boy, it's important that we're finding those players that are getting missed by everyone, and we feel that we can develop players as good as, if not better than anyone else. So we feel that if we can get that athlete here, that we can take them to another level. And I think Bailey had to sit in the waiting line last year and hardly play, and he had a pre-season that was just outstanding. It was, I get a lot of confidence out of players that turn on that first day and give their absolute all, and that are a competitor. And he'd be in the top 2 or 3 of our whole squad in that pre-season training. So he certainly put himself in the window with that. And then some of the things he was doing at training, he's just the ultimate competitor. And as soon as he was given an opportunity here, he was doing some really good stuff in our team in the game. So we had to try and find a spot for him. But again, he was pushed out by some talent that was picked ahead of him. So. And he probably didn't deserve to be out of the 17, to be honest with you, and probably would have started at every other club. But I think coming back in, and I think he had 33 carries over 260, 270 metres. And he, like I said, he should have had 2 tries, at least 2 tries under his name, as well as strong a performance as anyone has done in this competition this year.
And I guess going from sort of one end of the career scale to the other, you've still got Gaz O'Brien who's killing it, when he's available for you in the halves.
Yeah, I love Gaz. Everything about him. He's a great listener, a great leader. He's one of those players that you don't have to tell or give a message to twice. He's certainly smart and he understands. He's got great combination and he's got a great work ethic. But his combo with Lachlan has been awesome for us. He's got that senior controlled head under pressure, and when he's on, he's as good as any half or fullback in the competition. So he's great value for us. He's an important member of our squad, and we've just got to make sure that he's healthy moving forward for the rest of this year.
Yeah, I guess are those conversations still ongoing about whether this will be his last year, or has that decision already been made?
No, it's not been finalised yet. Like I said, he's a very important part of our group. I respect him as a person and a player, and if we can make it happen, he'll be here next year. But he's missed some games this year as well. When we talk about key players being out, and Ben McNamara, who no one knew much about, has come in and done some great things for us as well in that halfback position or on that 9 position. So there is a little bit of pressure there coming from the outside from all these players, which I appreciate, and the squad appreciates as well that everyone's earning their spot to get in the team.
On to KR then. What have you sort of pulled up like from the Wigan game, and any fresh injuries to tell us about?
No, everyone's pretty good to go. And that's important for us. Our second week at home in a row. It'll probably be the same 17 that played last week. There's no reason why that will change. They'll come here, and it's interesting because this time last year we had found ourselves a bit of form. We needed to win 11 out of the last 14 or 15 to make the 6 statistically, and we did that. But along the way, once we were running red hot, we come across Hull KR who beat us. I think it might have been 12-0 at the time, and really that sort of helped us kickstart the season after that particular game. And we find ourselves in a very similar situation, but I'm hoping that we've learnt some lessons from that, and we're slightly a little bit different than we were last time we played them.
Yeah, I mean, one man that you'll still have available is Joffa. Were you always confident of getting that those points taken off his record, because it's a big risk now, isn't it, to appeal with the way the suspension works?
Yeah, it's a very technical way about trying to get a player off that you think is done nothing wrong in the justice system. You know, I mean, if you get that wrong, it's 5 added points and £1,000 fine, which is, you know, another time, another moment to talk about, maybe at another level of leadership that messages can be passed on from there. But we felt, you know, nervous challenging something so important to us, but we were challenging the fact that, you know, it was wrong, but having that risk factor around it nearly made us decide not to. But it was very clear that he should never have been charged in the first place. And having said all of that, like Derek, with a bit of a law degree behind him, you know, attacks this with you know, with everything, and the work that Derek's done in the last 2 days to go about making this the right decision, the right outcome, has been incredible. And you know, the way that he got off that charge was very, very simple and very, very easy, and it shouldn't need to be that difficult. So we're very grateful to Derek and the way that he puts his time forward to support the players in these situations, and so is Joe. You know, he didn't miss a week because of the charge, a grade B late contact, but he got 3 points and around a £500 fine. So by challenging that, all of those were dismissed. So he's now not on. If he makes one small mistake, he'll get a week's suspension had we accepted that. So I know that's a lot of information and hard to understand, but very technical, and I think we're heading in the right direction with it, but there's some things around it there that made things nervous, and whether we should have challenged it or not, because ultimately he may have got 2 weeks suspension if we got that wrong. So I think there needs to be some sort of you know, time put forward to making sure that we get these sort of areas right.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen less appeals this year than in previous years, because maybe the risks that it carries, I mean, across the whole competition now.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's you know, the interesting part about it is when a player's charged at a grade A and given 1 point, you know, you've got to weigh up whether, if we challenge it, whether there'll be 5 points added to that, and whether you put the 10 hours in for something that's a 50-50, that he might get suspended for 1 week when he's only got 1 point. So, I mean, there's a lot of detail in that needs to be sought through, and there needs to be a change there at some point. You know, I think we're on the right track with the system we've got. I think we're doing a great job. Not as many players have been suspended this year. I think that's all right, but it's the other systems in place there that we've identified that makes it really difficult to challenge. And every club will say the same. Every single club will say the same. So, yeah, it just needs to be looked over.
I mean, just before I pass you on today, I'm not sure if you've seen, but there's been sort of reports from Australia linking you with the new PNG and our franchise job. Right. What can you sort of say about that and those links, and I guess how proud are you to be linked with it?
Yeah, I'm not aware of that, and I guess, you know, it's always going to be the case if wherever you're coaching, especially Papua New Guinea, where I was captained and coached the country, there's always probably going to be links with me involved with that in some capacity. But it's probably nice to know that they're looking, and if that's the case, well, you know, you'll cross that bridge when it happens. But I know that we're building something really special here. It's been a lot of hard work to get here, and we're only just scratching the surface. So, you know, I love this place. I love the people involved with it. I love our fans, and that's all I can say at the moment. You know, and I guess if we keep winning, well, then maybe interest will come from outside, as more from outside. That's what happens when you're in these situations, including players as well. You know, like we've lost a few players with the success we've had through to the NRL, and I'm sure that players and coaches will be probably identified from that small success.
Cheers, Lammy. Thanks, see you Saturday. Good luck.
Appreciate it, mate.
Lammy, you okay?
Hey, mate. Good. Very well. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad. Still 20-0 with about half an hour to go, so it's looking good.
Very good, mate. Very good.
Just on the PNG, just to clear up then, have you had any contact with anybody that's involved in that?
No, I've had no contact with it. Yeah, not at this point. But like I said, I'm sure that all that stuff will heat up. Yeah, we'll wait and see.
No, that's fine. Just on Davy Armstrong, what exactly was the injury? Can I ask? All I know is it was obviously his knee.
Yeah, there's a little bit going on with that knee. It's technically, you know, damaged with the posterior cruciate, the anterior cruciate, and the medial and cartilage medial ligament and cartilage have all been damaged in some way. So it's probably an 8 or 9 month rehab recovery from time he's done it to time he'll return. So when you work that out, if we can get it on track early, he'll hopefully be back for one of the early rounds of the 26 season.
I know we'd been carrying him quite a few issues in the weeks beforehand. Was that one area you were concerned about?
With Davey?
With yeah.
No, I think it was one of those injuries where we try to manage it through to the end of the season. Either way, you can do that in these occasions at times, and it just come forward really quickly with it, and but it's very difficult as well to not pick a player when he's one of the players nominated for Player of the Month, and we've got to make sure we keep his welfare at the best interest. But he's scoring 60, 70 metres tries around Sammy Tompkins and things like that. One of the greatest players here in the last decade, and he's just his mental toughness, Davey, and his resilience has been awesome and unbelievable through this. And I've found a lot of respect for him, the way that he's carried himself through playing through a bit of pain.
How difficult can it be making some of those decisions about playing players? Because I'm sure there's other players in a similar position.
I think it's pretty simple, really. You've got to work with the player as well, who knows himself better than anyone. And Davey was always wanting to play, so it was a matter of managing the process and allow that to unfold how it did. So, I think, like I said, lucky enough. We're going to miss Davey. He's a big part of this club. He's only young. He's everything. He's got everything we want to have as a player with being an athlete, and he's a great guy as well. And now we've just got to put all that energy into Bailey Hodgson and getting him right in that position to finish off this season at least.
Was it a case of trusting the player as well for the game itself? Because he stayed on for quite a while, didn't he? The other week.
Who's that?
Coming off at half time, I think. Davey again, sorry.
Yeah, he's like I said, mate. It was just he's a tough kid.
Well, cheers. Good luck on Saturday. I'll see you there.
Thank you.
Just a couple more from me. Lemmy, if that's all right.
Yeah, all good.
Just touching on Davey then. Does he need an operation now? Is that the?
Yeah, he's booked in for an operation in the next 10 days. So. If that comes sooner, obviously that'll get done sooner. But at this point, it's done on the 19th.
And in terms of his recovery, is he going back to Australia? Or
no, he'll spend most of the time here. There'll be a period where he can get back to family and that. But these sort of injuries, you need to be hands on every day from day one. So we'll get through that period, make sure that he's in a really good position to move forward with progression of building that knee up over that pre-season.
Yeah, you last played KR in March, arguably the worst performance of the season so far. Does that still stick in the teeth for you?
Nah, not really. I've moved on from that. We've had a few bad ones after that as well. But I know we're in a different place as a group. I try not to hold on and use that as revenge. It's about how we have developed as a team and how we can handle ourselves now and what we're doing well and how can we improve what's not quite right. So it's about us really, to be honest with you, this week. I haven't talked too much about Hull KR. I think that that we know what they're going to bring to us. They're doing a lot of things better than anyone else in the competition at the moment. So we need to be on, and we will be.
Yeah, just want to touch on Benny McNamara as well.
Yep.
Look, he's getting a lot of minutes lately. He's out of contract this year. What's the latest there? Is there anything in the offer?
Yeah, Benny will be here next year. He's I've coached Benny since he was 12, 13, 14, 15 at Clovelly Crocs and at the Roosters there, and I think the position that we're looking at for Ben is that 9, like a 9 at the moment. So, but he's done such a great job in the halves that he's one of those players that have been so valuable for this squad. For this year certainly, and then moving forward, I've got to keep working hard with him to get him to another level as soon as we can.
Yeah, just lastly, how do the quota changes affect your planning for next season?
Not too much. We'll just power on as we do. I think we're as aggressive as anyone in the competition with recruitment and retention. So we haven't lost many players here that we've wanted to keep, and we've more or less got what we've wanted to get. So, having said that, I'm pretty excited about it. To be fair, there's a couple of players that we've identified that we'll have a look at and see what can happen moving forward.